Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and today on this Absolute Tabletop Tuesday, we're going to take a look at Iskloft. Now, I want to preamble this with I am completely unfamiliar with the pronunciations, the language, the history of of Viking culture and whatnot. So I am going to absolutely brutalize the pronunciation of many of these words. I am a gamer. And while tangentially in our community, we are individuals who love ourselves historical accuracy and whatnot. We are talking about a tabletop role-playing game, and one that has had an extensive development. We're going to get into that, but first, let's bring everyone in, introduce you to what this channel is about, and then let's get started. So, welcome to the brutal, grim tales of survival in a frigid land. Yes, this is a Viking-esque homage to a tabletop role-playing game. Hey there, everyone. And yeah, it is the de facto Monday, absolutely. Now, this game was heavily developed with live plays on air for many years. Now, we're going back to 2020 for this game with a successful Kickstarter, and it had an unfortunate delay. And we've talked about this on this channel, and I'll get the bad stuff out the way first. There was a delay in the production of this game because, like many of us, those of us that want to be game designers end up realizing that we have to take on like 17. Is it really the same one from yesterday? Huh. I'll have to go back and change that. You're so bad. Yeah, Drew. Okay, I'll go back and change it. I thought I bet it defaulted to the one from yesterday. So yeah, I'll go back and change it. No, wait a minute. Let's see if we can. Am I able to do that now? Yeah, I can do that now. Oh, let's put this in here. TTRPG. Sorry about that. So, Iskloft, sorry about that. Iskloft is a game of brutal survival, and yes, it is built on the bones of 5th edition. And at a time when 5th edition, many people played it, many people are playing it, and there are many different types of what we call clones out there, and it's so divergent from 5th edition that in some ways, in a personal opinion, I almost feel like it deserved to be its own thing. But I will say that one of the coolest parts about playing this is playing through the traditions and the lore and the background materials. Actually, a lot of it is through the downtime activities, including the death of your character. And I really appreciate that in terms of immersing yourself within this culture and understanding that from an outsider's point of view, it feels very chaotic. But once you're in it, what's happening is there's a war going on with everyone from from the culture you come from the society you live in, the tribalist aspects of your party, to your fighting group, and then to your own personal goals and ambitions and desires and pragmatic choices, versus keeping your word and following the gods. And all of that is this weird mismatch of, from the outside, looking like people are just chaotic, but they are not. Let's see. Let's see. And here we go. Let's see if we can change this title here. It won't let me change it over on... Is that Facebook? I guess it is. I guess it is doing that over on Facebook. That is wild. Oh, wow. Okay, well. All right. So I'm going to bring up the PDF and ensure that you guys can take a look at it. I have my lights set up pretty high, so I hope that's not a distraction. And the reason for that is because there is a bit of a darker printing scheme to this, and I want to ensure that the darker printing scheme, you're able to see that, because if I had it on, no, shit, come on, god damn it, it didn't change. All right, I'll change it at the very end. I got it. Oh well. Is this the expansion module, a standalone game? It's an expansion. You would need to know the rules for 5th edition in order to run this game. And let me get the PDF. Duh. Maybe I should have the PDF up here. That would help. Come on, computer, don't slow down on me. There we go. Now, during the development, down below, there's a link to Jarl DM's original content YouTube channel, and during that time, it was in not just open development, but it was live being developed as a game, and I really appreciate that kind of, because the wildness of doing it that way. Let's see if we can even get this. Here we go. The wildness of doing it that way meant that those that were engaged in the Kickstarter to start the game, it didn't start out as a Kickstarter. It actually started out as, hey, I'd love to play in the enthusiasm and having a great historical element of running Viking-esque themed games. Lloyd was like, hey, listen, this would be really cool, if only there was a way to combine historical passion with a game. And people were like, well, why don't you design a 5th edition-esque version of it and just hack the system? Now, mind you, 5th edition and Dungeons & Dragons it's a combat-oriented system, so strangely enough, there was a great connection there. But after that point, it just became very, very difficult. So here we have, it became very difficult to hold on to the heroic fantasy version of 5th edition and use the rules like in the OSR, because we've seen this happen before, by having rules modules replace certain specific things, and we will come across many of those. There's lots of recommended media, and at the very top of the pages, you'll see there's a colored border. Here, from my point of view, it's blue, and that colored border will show you based on the classes and things like that. So if you want to flip through the book and get to a specific location, you might look for like red or yellow, green, things like that. There's lots of inspirations from books and television. For us modern-esque individual, of course, with books, you've got Beowulf and the Saxon Chronicles, and Havamal or Havamal. Anyway, for television, we've got like Last Kingdom, Viking, Sopranos, Game of Thrones, Rome, and such. And Sopranos talks about, it explores codes of honor, tribalism, masculinity. Movies like The 13th Warrior, Valhalla Rising, Pilgrimage, and The Ritual. Video games. RPGs like Iron Sworn, Fate of the Norns, Black Hack, Symbaroum. Not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but whatever, that's how we're going to do it here. And then the table of contents. There's like a watermark throughout, so you will see that, like, and it's supposed to immerse you in the frigid, cold realm that is Iskloft. So we got safety tools, and something that I love about indie games that I wish more role-playing games would do in a more generalized term is basically like tell us what we're going to expect from this game, and let us know that up front, because just after the credits, you go into, oh, what's this game about? And this will pretty much not prevent, but at least give you a warning as to what will be in this game. And so that even though you might have people who are detractors, at least they can go away, and then you can start enjoying and bonding with the people who are about this type of gameplay. Whereas many people might go, no, I'm more into the Fae and things of that nature. So yeah. Let's see if I can get this a little bigger. There we go. So Iskloft is a brutal world. It's about survival. It's a world of tradition and a world of superstition and a fallen dark culture. And what I love about this is this particular section here. Iskloft is a place of contradictions. Much of the gameplay that would piss people off, really dig into their, like, this really isn't a game, I hate it, is actually what the game is about. So players are going to be, just by surviving in this world, players are going to be pulled in different directions. So your personal ethics and morality is one thing for your character. What would I live and die for? What do I consider to be the things in my life that I would be devoted to? So what are my personal motivations? That's one part of your character. Another part are, when you interact with anyone in the world, at some point, and actually many points, you're going to be tasked with, who are you devoted to? Do you keep your promises? Are you someone to be trusted? How far will you go when someone asks of you something that can put you in a dangerous situation? And do you hold true to that? Are you someone who has honor, who will even make promises, or are you someone that's unreliable? So that's another part that's going to be pushing and pulling on you. Then there's the pragmatism. The world is completely brutal. It's very difficult to survive in this world. It's very OSR-ish, if I can make a comparison. And because of that comparison, the conflict will come. Do I want to keep my promises with the people that I speak with? Do I want to remain devoted to those individuals when just tomorrow might put us in a dangerous situation, one in which we will be lethal? And do I sacrifice my life for my word, or do I ignore the calls and pleas of those that I said I had duty to, and walk away? And the thing is that in many ways you can turn your back on people, and it's an unfair world. There's nobody there to see you turn your back and whatnot. And then of course there's the gods and the fantasy of this world and the Viking-esque culture that is here. Do you believe that the gods are watching you? Do you believe that there are witches whispering in your ear? The Norns, granting you power. You know, the ravens of Odin watching you from a tree branch. Is that important to you? And will that have an effect on this world? So I like it. Lots of contradictions, and it actually says so within many of the worlds here. Yeah. Reading this, a raider may swear an oath to serve his Jarl, to do as the gods bid, then kick in a door and drag a person out of their hut by the hair to use and then sell them into thraldom. A Jarl may offer guests rights and hospitality to visitors. That same Jarl may discover that a witch dwells in the nearby woods and send a group of men to cut out her tongue and cast her back into the wilderness. Powerful oaths hold people to their word, and most people strive to live by a code of honor. Yet when survival is on the line, when you and your family may starve in the winter, when you see the man who killed your brother, those codes often go out the window. This juxtaposition of living is a just and honorable life with the hope of going to Valhalla versus the desperate need to survive is the central tenet of Iskloft, and games run within it. Players should be put into positions, which test their greed and need against their honor and sense of what is right. So, let's go back to your comments here. I wish I could pull these comments out. All right. Now, unlike the setup of many games, a lot of times you'll get the beginning of the game will give you all the fluff, the background, the languages and cultures and things like that. Instead, here we are introduced to many changes to the game rules. A little different than many layouts, but I actually appreciate it because right up front you're going to say, okay, well, what makes this different than 5th edition? So we do have, and it tells you what is different. Greater focus on martial combat and mass combat. Magic is rare. Spellcasters are uncommon and feared. That's going to set a lot of people off. There are no classic, in the classic terms of 5th edition, there isn't any classic cleric, druids, warlocks. Spellcasting is completely different. Some would say nerfed. It's far more ritualistic with a chance for calling the attention of bad luck and omens and things of that nature, as well as being possessed by the spirits of the dead and whatnot. Monsters are rare. Man is the real monster. Player characters are not heroes. They're simply trying to get by. That's a big thing. Very little access to magical healing. Slow, natural healing is here. Combat is likely to lead a character to being permanently injured, and resting takes much longer. And this part here, very little access to magical healing, combat is likely to lead to permanently being injured, and resting takes much longer. That is the game. So if you're a player who's like, I'm short rest, come on, let's keep on going, this isn't really the game for you. So portraying your characters, let's say a character gets breaks an ankle or stabbed in the leg, or someone has an infection or a broken limb or something, that becomes the game. Do you decide to bring this person with you, or do you leave them behind? If you bring them with you, can you afford to have them healed? Maybe you have to trust the workings of that old witch up in the hills to help heal your friend, but then that witch may ask of you something that you're unwilling to part with. It could be a memory, a task, a promise of some sort, your word, and all of those things take place. And the do I hobble along with a broken ankle to fulfill a task or not is the game itself. So yeah. The biggest part in this is in Iskloft, a short rest is 8 hours, a long rest is 1 week. That turns a lot of people off if you want to just play a superheroic game. Yeah. Short rest 8 hours, long rest is 1 week. There are new skills, basically renamed skills as well. And we do have new conditions: bleeding, dazed, hopeless, punch drunk, winded. Winded is like exhaustion, but it can go away at the end of combat. Yeah. You suffer a level of exhaustion for each level winded you acquire. You can remove level of winded by spending an action on your turn, regaining your breath. And then after combat ends, you remove all levels of winded if you spend 1 minute recovering. And if you have levels of exhaustion and winded, track them separately and suffer the effects of which condition is more advanced. And remember, exhaustion in 5th edition, 5th edition Creative Commons is pretty brutal. It is different than how they have it currently. So yeah, getting levels of exhaustion is pretty horrible. Winded, you can acquire those back to back to back in combat by becoming winded. But then if you, again, like it says, you can remove 1 level if you spend an action and then spend at least 1 minute at the end of combat. But remember, a short rest is 8 hours. So getting rid of that exhaustion, you better be someplace where it's safe. And being someplace safe might mean having a strange bedfellows, making deals with enemies and things like that. There are new skills. They're basically just reframed skills. We have the skill of grit, lore-wise, sailing. I believe it's pronounced safe, S-E-I, and if you spell it in English, it's S-E-I-T-H. I don't know what letter of the language that is, like how to tell you what that is. I've seen it before, and it's not something with the umlaut. I don't know what it's called, and I apologize for not knowing that, but I don't live there. There's also world-wise and wound-wise, and takes the place of skills that we already know. For example, like world-wise replaces and combines nature and survival. Wound-wise replaces medicine, etc. And wound-wise might be something like boiling wine and herbs, stave off an infection, or cutting off an infected hand to save the arm. There's also, there's a optional thing of stress, and a character's stress begins at 20 plus their wisdom score, plus their constitution and grit bonus, and it's a percentage chance that you will basically suffer from stress and torment, is what it's called. It's basically mental trauma, PTSD, essentially, from the murder killing that happens to go on. And it's not even just that, but it comes from, here are ways to gain stress, there's a bunch of them, like you or an ally suffers a brutal wound, you or an ally drops to 50% hit points, monsters, going a day without food, seeing a corpse with violent signs of death, profane rituals, scoring a killing blow on a human, etc., etc. Yeah, there's some pretty brutal things that happen in the game, and it's reinforced. Oops, did I just do? And it is reinforced in this game. Sorry about that. Sorry about the speediness. Just relieving stress, and then that stress can turn into torment, where you start gaining like psychological issues. There's also resting, and it talks about recovering stress and resting. Indulging in a vice by paying hack silver equal to 10 times the character's level will allow them to remove 10 stress on a short rest. And your stress starts just like building up, and then you just explode. And there's lots of vices and things like that. Drink your cares away, prayer or sacrifice, take it out on your own flesh, find the comfort of a lover, pick a fight and win, indulge in a narcotic, rigorous punishing exercise, etc., etc. The main type of currency here is hack silver, by the way. And then there are journeying rules, going on journeys, things of that nature. Let's go through and see what you guys have to say. Mike Marin says, oh, talked about yesterday. Yeah. Stuck in a meeting, but I love the blades and the dark, precise use of abstraction and detail to maximize action. Interesting decision making. Going to have to go back and watch this. The title is incorrect. It actually aired yesterday when I did it. So let's see if we can get this. See if we can get this updated here. Here we go. Let's do this one more time. Let's see this. Sorry, I'm good at some things, but not a lot of things. And one of them is keeping track of the chat and typing and whatnot. I actually often wondered if I could do artwork, because I'm a little bit of a mediocre artist at best, but I actually thought about doing artwork while having conversations with you guys and doing streams like that, and I was like, that's a little too much to hold on to. Yep. Let's see. And let's copy all of this. Come on. Copy. There we go. And you guys can't see what's happening in the background, but we're going to save this. And then I didn't realize Facebook was actually still on here, but we're going to change that one and save that one. And then we're going to update this one as well. Save. Please update. See if you'll do it live. An error happened. Try again later. Here, let's try it this way. There it is. All right, said it did it, but I don't see a change yet. Oh well. Oh well. Viking fights, rap music, yeah. No cleric heal bot, no praying to gods who don't give a F about you, hoping for healing. Love it. Yeah. It's definitely in that realm. We haven't even got that far. Okay. Speed. All right, so there's a journey system. You're going to first start your planning. It's got 3 stages. So you have the planning stage, and then the journeying stage, and then of course it's like the aftermath. You decide like where you're going to go, choose your route, gather your supplies and whatnot, and then you're going to go on your journey. And you're going to decide whether you're traveling in morning, noon, night. How fast are you going? Fast, normal, slow. And then of course there's you pick your roles. Navigator, someone's going to be the navigator, the scout, the gatherer, the vigilant, and then of course it's your arrival. And upon your arrival, this is when you start to apply the stress and things like that. How many supplies did you take with you? How much have you lost? How much stress you gain? And remember, stress is a percentage, so it begins at 20 plus, and your stress levels can start to go up from there. And again, it costs it will cost you, it will cause you stress and torment when you engage in certain things, by basically seeing the death and destruction around you, even though everyone's like puffing their chest out and going, I can tough this out, so can I. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. It talks about modifiers for the different climates. Most of this world is it's very difficult to find food and water, and well, the water part's probably plentiful because it's cold and frigid, but starting fires and farmland and things like that is pretty rare. Hunting for food, hunting for glory and silver. all of that stuff. Harvesting, but random encounters, of course. But I want to introduce you to something here. Uh, of course, these are random events that may happen while you're in these places, like just just simple things like urine stains in the snow, faint singing, a trail of still warm blood somewhere, and then that can lead to that could be an adventure hook. Um, there's things you might find in a forest or in the ice and snow, and pretty brutal locations. Mountains, the ocean. You can break equipment, so there is no such thing as equipment surviving just because you made your saving throw. And equipment, the highest levels are standard, high quality, and masterwork, which is which in this world would be the equivalent for us of what a magical legendary item would be. But in this world, these are masterwork items, and legends are told about the craftspeople who've made these axes and swords and armor and things of that nature, and other mundane things that would be masterwork as well. But there is definitely equipment degradation. You can have broken and low quality items, and many of the items you're going to find out there in the battlefields and whatnot, or from these small villages, are going to be like low quality. And it does have rules for upkeeping your stuff when you rest. There is a mass combat rules here as well. And then we talk about creating your character. In this game, this is a very, very humanistic world. Humanocentric, if that is a word I think you could use. And being humanocentric means that instead of picking races like gnome or elf or dwarf or something like that, instead you're going to pick a people that you come from, and an ethnicity, I guess, would be the equivalent of that, and you're going to pick that. Now, mind you, this is a Viking world, so when I say ethnicity, it's not what you would consider related to modern parlance. Okay, it's going to be it because of the isolation of so many people that didn't really travel that far. You're going to have common languages and ways of doing things, and even, dare I say, a genetic propensity for like height and weight and eye color and hair color and things like that. Now, this is a Viking-esque world, so you're going to get you're going to get very Nordic, Northern European people, but to each other there, they can tell extreme differences between each other, and a lot of that has to do with their way of life, and that way of life could be separated by dozens of miles, simply because they didn't travel that far normally. And so being an elf or something, now you might be accused of having the blood of those people, and some of those people did think that they had the blood of certain types of people in their system. Whether that's true or not is going to be based on your world, but yeah. And there is a life path system. I love life path systems. Life path systems basically are like random tables that, when stacked together, tell the story of the background of your character, and can give you a lot of inspiration as to what kind of character you're going to play later. You're not going to play a wizard or a ninja or something like that in this world at all. So there's life path events, birthrights, life path, age results. Kind of cool. You could play, yeah, you might play somebody who's only like 14 to 16 years old, all the way up to a graybeard, 51 plus years old. Of course, you get more life path events. That's me, graybeard. Yeah, kind of cool. Let me go just above one part of this life path. Uh, by the way, there's like a birthright result. Maybe you were born out of wedlock, or you're born to a thrall. it's like a slave kind of indentured servitude, basically. Born to a mother whose husband lived a life of constant raiding, maybe. There's an adventure song. I like this. You were born across the waves to that strange land of Tuatha. Somehow you sailed back, or you killed something unknowable that no one else could kill. Or your mother's dying wish was for you to spread her ashes from the tallest mountain peak. You did so after many years. And their life path system keeps going on. Cruelty, tragedy, law breaking, love and romance. You don't want to be a lawbreaker because you end up getting branded. If you want to play like a rogue type character, I mean an actual rogue that like pickpockets and steals or assassinates or something, you're probably going to be branded as one of those people and not liked very much. And when I say branded, I mean a literal brand on your body. Haunting weirdnesses, twists of fate. So I don't know how to pronounce this word. The Aetir. This is what I was talking about. This replaces species or blood or race in other 5th edition fantasy games. It's basically your people. And what I like about how this was done, this is the generalization of what it means. There's some universal traits everyone has. You're basically all human. But we do have naming conventions. So for someone like me who must be introduced to this world, I'm glad there's some naming conventions because I wouldn't know. And traditional names, prefixes, suffixes, and meanings. And then there's like traditional and then Southern Iskloft names. If you take a look from one side to another, if you look down the meanings, you go to the traditional, it's like Raven, Eagle, Wolf, Bear, Sacred, related to Thor, Helm, Sword, Victory, Battle. And then you move over to the southern part, it's like Young Doe, Flowering Field, Elf Friend, Waterfall, Of the Willow Trees. Like, yeah, there's a distinct difference for people who are from Iskloft and those who like traveled there or tangentially related. So there are many numbers of these that you can pick from, and again at the very top it just tells you kind of like what kind of people they are and what they are like and whatnot. How do they measure their wealth in comparison to others of Iskloft, and bonus equipment. And there are some things here that I like about the bonus equipment that really brings you into this world. Like for example, for the as blonder, there's for your bonus equipment you have a fur traveling cloak, a decent traveling gear for the current season, a bedroll, a backpack or saddlebags, an old riding horse, old boots, okay, 4d6 hack silver, and choose any two of the following: a good quality fishing net, a Yontunate coin, your father's woodcutting axe, a simple high quality knife, a tent, high quality flint and tinder. And it kind of tells you like, oh, okay, all right, so you probably, a good net and whatnot, fur traveling cloak. Sounds kind of cool. You could be a city dweller or a village dweller, and then we go on to these Gunderlanders. And like I said before, that there is like you'll see in the book that you're going to get like light pages with dark writing, dark pages with light writing. So if that bothers you a little bit, it's okay. But I like the differences because I'm a visual person and I can identify where I'm at. These people are warlike, wealthy, elite, inheritors, gregarious. Nogar. They are makers, honorable, patient, pious, watchful. Isklefin. Yeah, they're regular folks. Raiders, superstitious, pragmatic, traditional, egalitarian. Like egalitarian. Southern ideas of gender roles do not exist in the North. Life is too hard and every able-bodied person is needed. So despite the brutality of Isklofin culture and their propensity toward violence and raiding, they're some of the most egalitarian people in Iskloft, and I love that. I love that idea. And it in a modern context, it kind of throws things into the people's faces, ladies can't be warriors and stuff. You're like, shit, we don't have we don't have the safety to make those decisions in our world. Hey, can you walk, kid? I'm only 4 years old. Shut up. Here's an axe. You know what I mean? It's a pretty brutal land, and it goes. There are, if you're not used to some of the brutal descriptions, this might also turn you off of this game. Let's see what you guys have to say. Nordic ethnicity equals all sorts of little tribes, some with related languages, some with languages from completely different families. Yeah. Branded for wrongdoing on the face, like the first edition Fire Giants. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Sandberg. Game of Thrones. Yeah, I believe they were in Game of Thrones. That the wildlings up north of the wall in Game of Thrones. Yep. And it's funny because it also throws, because today, we have like gender wars and people just like, we need traditional gender roles and all this kind of stuff. And for these people, they're just like, dude, we need food. We need to survive. We don't even have the concept of arguing about that stuff because we need everybody all the time, everywhere. So, get off your ass and get to going, right? And I like that a lot. I like equality, not because people have been like arguing about it, but because like shit got to get done and bullshitters got to leave. Get off the pot. Innovative, cosmopolitan, savvy, unorthodox, aloof. Those are for them. Starting languages and things. Sonderfjörder. Soderfjörder. Shit. Like I said, I'm going to butcher this. Prosperous horsemen, kneelers, explorers, traders. I don't know what a kneeler is. Kneelers. Why should every man be given the same respect? Why should a peasant farmer be able to speak how he likes to a Jarl who is clearly his better? These questions have led to a change in Soderfjord. An oath sworn to a Jarl is sworn to his family as well. Instead of giving an arm ring in return for the oath, the Jarl gives the land and responsibilities. Instead of standing and nodding, Soderfjorders kneel and swear. Jarldoms are hereditary here, and there is a much greater divide between Jarl and Bondi. Other cultures, especially the Isklofin, look down on this as servile and weak. Oh, the first thing that comes to mind is that they seem a bit stereotypically English noblemen, if that would make sense in this world. As close to being an Iskloft as you could be, right? Kneeling down, things like that. Valander. Old ways, squabbling. Seith, safe, wise, challenging. I believe that's a type of magic. The Tuathan are from a distant land. Foreigners, mystical, proud, woad and gold. We'll get to the magic system in just a minute. As we move on. Offender, Nordic. As you can tell, the colors had just changed at the top of the border. This is where we start to get into class descriptions. So previously, those weren't backgrounds. Those were your culture, essentially your ethnicity in many ways. Now we're getting into class systems, and there's the Berserker. Now, mind you, some of these, you may, if you take a look deep into it, you go, oh, this is a fighter, this is a barbarian, this is a ranger. Somewhat. A lot of that was, most of the martial classes were taken, the pieces were ripped up, moved around quite a bit. Some of the features of the, dare I say, magical classes like druid, cleric, sorcerer, and whatnot were made mundane, practical, realistic, and spliced throughout. So you may see some of those things. Yeah, Berserker, All Father Zeal, Berserker Gang. Traits and proficiencies. And I like a lot of the names of their abilities. So a lot of these aren't like single words like fight, or maybe 2-word things like parry weapon or something. Some of these are words like he struck dangerous blows, or he had 9 men's strength, or blades could not harm him, he cannot fall. And I like some of those descriptions. I like a lot of those. And you could spend some of your Berserker Gang basically like your, it's like rage, but it's a mental, you're mentally transforming into something else. You are taking on the role of a warrior berserker. You're going into a hypnotic state, if you will. And some of this can be formed with animals and whatnot. And then here's some artwork: calling of the bear, calling of the bones, the calling of the raven, calling of the wolf, as a berserker. None can escape a bear's strength. Fate is inexorable. Bonebreaker. It's cool. The raven feather cloak. You do not wear a pelt like other berserkers. Instead, you have a painstakingly crafted cloak made of the black feathers of ravens. It is a symbol of your thirst for knowledge, and those who see it know you are wise beyond measure. Your cloak gives you the following benefits. And yes, this is part of the berserker. Kind of cool. It's like you're like the berserker sage, delving deep into what it means to make your mind blend in with the natural order and things like that. And then talks about playing berserker and historical berserkers, and in Iskloft how they relate to other people. Oops. My light just fell. Yeah, in Iskloft, the All-Father is real, as is magic. The Berserker is a chosen warrior of Odin, granted the blessing of the battle fury. In return, the Berserker lives a strict life, following the teachings of Odin and living by Drengskapard. Fuck. The Berserker fills a role in Iskloft of a wandering wise man. They're close to Odin. Kind of cool. They're Drengir. They're skilled, brave, versatile, respected. They have a code. And if you see, it goes over into yellow. Basically like a fighter-ish. And there we are. Jarl Drengir. Jarlvaldur. Butchering. A Huskarl and a Reaver. Let's keep going. But anyway, these are the character classes. And let's change this into a 2-pager. These are the character classes, and in many ways, like I said, no magic classes. Magic in this world are like, they're similar to feats in the sense that you don't have spell levels so much, or spell slots. They're more like talents that you learn throughout time, and when you learn them, many of them take much longer than we would say in a traditional role-playing game. Okay, so for example, in traditional, I'm sorry, not role playing, traditional fantasy D20. So instead of like, oh, I cast an instant spell, instead this might take you 10 minutes. It might take you an hour. There's one that takes a week long of like chanting and things to get it done. Now, at the end of that time, you may have a benefit that you can carry around with yourself, but that is the case. Playing outlaws. I don't know if you want to play an outlaw, but they are marked. So right here is the Skullgarmander. They are exile, unfettered, marked, cheaters, and alone. And here is the talk where it talks about being marked as an outlaw. Each outlaw in Iskloft is branded or marked in some way. When they are convicted of their crimes, they are most often branded on their body with an inverted Algi's rune, representing a lack of freedom. Depending on the severity of the crime, an outlaw may be branded on the forearm, the hand, the neck, or even the face. This is to alert everyone else in the world that this person is not welcome in society and that they are encouraged even, to do them harm. And as horrible as it sounds, in this world, it actually makes sense, and I kind of like it. I really do, because I can imagine a player who has a background where they were forced to make the choice to commit a crime, and then they're branded, no one likes them, but then at the same time, people may have remembered their family and their courage, or the fact that they sacrificed themselves to commit a crime, or maybe they regret committing that crime, things like that. These are the mystics. Mystical, feared, wise, powerful, and canny. Calderes, Sadir, I don't know. I want to say vulva, but I don't know how to pronounce that. Oops, I already said it. There are different types of magic. There's singing, and people that hear those songs can be rejuved, hypnotized even, to go into a different state. There's also runic magic as well. And here are some of the subclasses. You can mix and match subclasses in this game. And then there's backgrounds to make your character. And of course, this being a brutalistic world and much more humanistic, mixing and matching these things just comes from different people's your experiences in life and whatnot. For backgrounds here, you got advisor, crafter, apprentice, I don't know how to pronounce Godee. There's the marked. You can be marked for some reason. Maybe your family was marked. There's cursed, if you want to have that as your background. Farmer, fisher. Exactly. Hunter, Carl, Smith, Carl. You could play a thrall to someone else. Vikinger. And then we go into equipment and come on. There we go. Equipment, and like I said before, there are quality levels. I believe it's broken, low quality, standard, high quality, and masterwork. And then we get into magic. And like I said, there are songs that you've learned. So unlike a traditional spellcaster, many of these, some do take one action, as there are some instant or reaction spells, but a lot of them take time to set up. And I like this little part here. Hypocrisy. The people of Iskloft are hypocritical when it comes to magic, and it says it right up front. Like, yeah. They fear and hate it. They whisper to each other of witches and their evil. But when the harvest is poor, or a sickness comes, or they wish to know their fate, they will seek out a witch without much hesitation. In the lands of Isklofin and of Valiant, there is a more general acceptance of magic users. The steward's decree, uttered by Baelbrand the steward after the death of the second king, outlawed magic and all those who would practice it. Most places accept accepted this, and almost overnight, an ancient tradition in Iskloft became a crime. Yet in Isklofin and Valiand, the people do not want to exile their seers, their midwives, their healers, and their advisors, and so ignored the decree. Even today, many Jarls will talk of the danger of magic and sorcery, but keep a witch as an advisor. So I like that, and I like the upfront. Yeah, there's a bit of hypocrisy, and even how do we explain this? Story wise, pointing out the hypocrisy could be an element of the game that is important. And there's songs of Odin and the different songs and the names of them. I hush the wind on the stormy wave. I know all which none can know. Wisdom to Odin who utters, or on his head the curse he called upon mine. Hate I shall calm mid the warrior's song. It's kind of cool. I hush the wind on the stormy wave. And there's a possession effects and going into possessions and things. There's a rune list here, and carving the runes, what they mean, the themes that they have for the runes and what level they are, apprentice, journeyman, or master, and carrying those runic stones and putting them together. Relics and magic items and items of power. And it does the game in the game world does make you think, like, if everyone believes something is magic, even in a world where there isn't any magic, does it really have power? And the answer to that would be yes. So in many ways, you could, if you played this setting and said, really, there isn't any real magic, but the people just believe it, or there is magic and this is just like a traditional fantasy game, both can be true at the exact same time, right? So, and then we get to page 80, in which, let me go back to single page and then go to here. After I page through all of that, then we get into the world of Iskloft. And surprisingly, during the character creation part at the beginning of the book, it's placed at the beginning of the book because people are going to want to make characters. You know how it is, right? Some of us suffer from world builder's disease, and that's part of it. But then when we get into the air quotes fluff of the game, and talks about this world and what does it mean to have honor and family tradition and whatnot, and kind of cool. All right, let's get to what you guys have to say. Gandalf was based on Odin in Wanderer form. Did you know that? I didn't know that, but I see it, right? I do really see that. Yeah, that would definitely be low quality. Like, how about just plain wood, just a sharpened stick? Probably low quality, if not wouldn't be broken. I'd say low quality, and probably breaks pretty easy. The Vikings were not egalitarian. The Nordic tribes had strict religious and social hierarchies, often maintained with brutality and enriched by slavery. Yeah. In this world, they are. Don't make the comparison that this is Earth. All those things can be true at the same time, because it would be physically impossible to have like thousands of kilometers of land and all the people live a certain way. So as you come across different people, the people in Isklofin have this, or the people that are like that. So if you're a character from a different culture, there's going to be conflict, because you may say, hey, listen, where I come from, we have specific roles that people have to play for our survival. And then in this other world, other land, they say, hey, listen, everybody's got to pitch in. We don't have specific roles because we need all hands on deck. And that's where the conflict comes in. We in the community, and I've said this before this channel, we in the community love everything on off to the right of the equal sign, right? We like to go like, well, this plus this would automatically be that thing, where the drama and the adventure and the story happens during the equation, not the end result, right? So it is, well, by this event plus this culture plus this history plus these people, etc., we haven't gotten to the answer of what that is yet. The drama is coming in when those things come into conflict to eventually come up with an answer later on. It's the whole argument about firearms in fantasy, right? It's like some people say, well, if there's firearms, then firearms would take over. It's like, sure, maybe at some point, but we're not living in that time. We're living in the miasma of what happens when those two things conflict with each other. According to the Viking museums I saw in Denmark, it looked like women really did stay at home all the time, weaving cloths, cooking, and taking care of kids. Sure, I agree with that. About berserkers, those the Scaria toadstools ain't driving nobody berserk. Turns out they're chill drugs for sleepy time. Yeah, there is that too. Yeah, magic works as long as everybody believes it, like the red ships being faster amongst the orcs. Okay. Yeah, as long as people believe it, it's true, right? Much like the movie 300. Remember, in the movie 300, it's like, well, was that real? It's like, well, everybody believed that was real, so that's probably what everyone believed they thought they saw, But was it real? Don't know. So this goes into the world of Iskloft, and what kind of world this is, and many of the practices that are accepted. And like I said, throughout the book, it does tell you there's a lot of hypocrisy in here as well, amongst the people, whether it's accepted or not. So you will get like, oh, well, strangely enough, these people over here think this, but it's twisted because of that thing. So, but these are generalizations amongst. And this is it talks about gender roles in Iskloft. And mind you, Iskloft is the main continent, and there's also the people, but then there are other people that live within here who don't believe the same things. But everyone is trying to survive in this land where they're trying to carve out their livelihoods, being pushed down from the super frigid north where very few people can survive, and then being traveling from the south up north where gold and hack silver and glory and honor and war and things like that are what they're and trade and whatnot they're going for. So it talks about gender roles, sexuality in Iskloft. Like I said, this is a very adult. Talks about families and thralls. Yes, there is slavery and variations of that, of indentured servitude as well in this world. Yeah. I know some people want to play like historical dramas or have historical accuracy, and this is a game. This is supposed to be a fantasy game, so understand that both the word fantasy, right? It's a world that does not really exist in the real world. And B, it's supposed to be a game in which people want to play a game and portray themselves in this world, even as brutalistic as it is. So yeah, I hear that it's been almost 45 years of tabletop role playing for me. And I hear that same argument about, well, it's that in history, that's not how, in real life, that's not what it was like in real life. And I'm like, really? You're making an argument about a thing that doesn't exist. It exists in the minds of the people that play it. And if you want to create a game and a world in which that exists, then go ahead and create your own. Or or amongst your own player group, you go ahead and do what you want. But in this one, that's not what it's like. Talk about blood mixing and things like that, and how, like I said, there's a bit of a hypocrisy. And this is the world. Let's see if I can get it to the rights. There we go. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can get the map. Sorry, trying to get the map so you guys can see it. It is divided in two, I believe. Let's see if I can. Will it let me show you the map? Kind of. And we'll end it on the map. Yeah, kind of. It's weird because the page to the right is the top, and the other one's to the left, because if you open up the book, let's see if I get to the page here. There we go. Yeah. So we've got to the very north Iskloft, and the land bridge up into the very far Frigid north, and Asblond just below that, big large nation there, and then is that Gunderland to the left north, and then a large inner sea, Kogastalin, a bunch of land masses, islands and such, and then to the very south is Sunderford. And then off of the map are there's like 3 or 4 cultures off of the map to the very south, to the west and east, where people have come to this place for glory and things like that. But yeah, there's the map sideways. And we're going to get out of here pretty soon. So it goes into talking about the war, oath keeping, government rituals, gatherings, and things like that. Keeping your word, afterlife. Oh, let's if we. I have to find it. There is a. How do I explain this? Let's see if I can find this page here. I should have noted it. Page 13. Let's see. Just before we get out of here, when I There we go. I found it. I want to show you one thing here. We're gonna look at death, and how death is incorporated into the game. Here we go. So most role-playing games really don't deal very well with death. Yes, there are how do I survive death and how do I make tabletop role-playing game die rolls about death. But this is when the character actually dies. All right. So death lurks around every corner, but the spirit and reputation of the mighty lives on. To die well and join your ancestors in Valhalla is central to belief in Iskloft. When a character dies, it's possible for their legacy and reputation to imbue your next character with greater destiny. And I like this a lot. So, of course, we have the thing when your character falls unconscious, they make a grit check, DC 15. It's a skill check, basically. D20 plus a modifier. Right? On a success, they are able to hold on to their weapon, improving their chances of going to Valhalla. When a character dies, roll a D8. If you are able to get 8, including bonuses, you gain a weird point. Check the following list. For each item that is achieved, add +1 to the weird roll. WYRD. And that is, if your character dies, you roll a d8 and you add 1 to it. You want to get 8 or more. So, did you have a proper funeral? Each ally that recites a story of the dead character's glory. A character was able to hold their weapon when dying. That's with the grit roll. A Sadir. I don't know what letter this is, but I've seen it also spelled at SEITH. A Saith or Sathir is present. An enemy speaks well of them. Hack silver equal to 100 times the character's level was spent on the funeral sacrifices. And if you get a bunch of those things happening together when your character dies, you get a weird point. So what do you do with that? When you create a new character, you are able to spend a weird point to have the Norns help you. When you create your new character, you rolled 3d20. Record the results. These are your weird dice. At any point, you can replace any d20 roll with one of your weird dice results. Once you use it, remove that weird die from your pool. And along with that, what's actually kind of cool about that is it's like the death of one character leads to the legacy of the next one. Like maybe your new character is holding the weapon of your old character, or maybe the way your old character died, people look to your new character as like carrying on their legacy and their tradition. You kind of have like a built-in reputation on your new character based on your old one. Maybe they were related by blood, family, or maybe they were related by warring together or something, or you brought their body back from the so that the correct funeral rites could be done, and they, the entire time they held their arm, literally had rigor mortis around their weapon and whatnot, and then the funeral pyre goes up and you're standing there giving words, telling words about their glories and whatnot, and maybe the new character is the 14-year-old who's sitting by the side, trying to keep the tears from falling, or probably doesn't have any tears anymore because of this brutal world, and another person walks up to the young child and hands over their hunter's axe or something like that. And it's like, your father was a great warrior, blah, 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 and then other people look to the small child like to carry on their legacy. And I really like that. So yes, even in death, there is a mechanical feature to having a funeral and having those things done, and that's just a small part of this game, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, nice burial mound. Do you get one? Not sure. Sorry for imposing all this real. I just learned a bunch of stuff about the Vikings and wanted to start spurging about it. Same for Lloyd, who designed the game, right? Like that's a thing. Yeah, that O letter is pronounced like TH, a dental frictive sound. Like the tongue against the inside of the upper teeth. A little hard to hear it because I have a shield in front of my microphone to prevent those TH and S sounds from getting a little bit too bad. But yeah. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for letting me show a little bit of Iskloft off to you. It is 132 pages. There are plenty of random tables at the back of the book to for the brutalistic brutal wounds and whatnot, from slashing and unarmed to like piercing things. Pretty nasty hit locations and whatnot. The back of the book also has some adventuring and whatnot, and like the game says, it's the real monsters are the people. This is a Viking-esque Viking emulator world game, and so therefore it is not meant to be a treatise on all Viking culture. It is uh, a miasma, a hodgepodge of various elements pulled and highlighted, separating them so you have options as a player, you have different stories you can tell as a game master, running the game, and embracing the brutalistic nature of this world. When someone says, "Oh man, my character got slashed in their back and now it's infected," that is the game. The do we leave our hired travelers behind because they can't keep up with us because the great cold is moving in and we need to get down to the southern regions before I don't know, we're closed in by the frost or something like that. And when we get home, we are both traumatized psychologically by leaving those people behind. Others want to know what happened to them, and did we, do they see the guilt in our eyes for having done such a thing? Are we criminals and stole their stuff and living with that? And will the Norns or seers or something see that in us? Will our guilt override what we've done? That is this game, and I really appreciate that. Yes, there's going to be lots of battle, and you're not really going to want to engage in too many fights. It's pretty dark. When weapons get drawn, on one hand, you don't want to hesitate to do so. On the other hand, it's not going to be pretty. It will not be pretty at all. So he said, "Yes, you did." Oh, thanks with the. So again, Iskloft. I do have the printed book. There's links down below. Shout out to Lloyd, who the Jarl DM. If you go over to the YouTube channel. Hasn't been updated in a while, but that doesn't mean the live plays and the live development of this game isn't useful. It is still there. It is still there for the perusing of anyone that would like to do so. Let's see if I can put both these up side by side. Also, I will say to add to this that if you are a fan of the OSR, you want to get into that, or you, like I said, you really have a high interest in Viking culture, a lot of detail was placed into this to try to emulate that and still make it an interesting game. And I appreciate that part of the development, because it would have been very easy to blanket statement it and to make it an us versus them kind of thing. Instead, it's basically like, no, you can come from outside, but when you come up into this land, it's going to be brutal as all hell. And like I said before, there are some options where if you look deeply into the option, you go, that sounds like, and then you can fill in the blank, right? Like, you're like, wait a minute, that sounds like, I don't know, old ancient where Russia would be, or that sounds like England, or that sounds like Turkey, or something like that, or an aspect of the Persian Empire, or whatever. You go, and if you squint, you might go, is that? And then you go, well, it doesn't really matter. You're here now, so enjoy. If that's a word that you'd even want to use. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Also, thank you very much for just allowing me to take this time to give back to a community that has kept me in the tabletop role-playing community, the Absolute Tabletop Facebook group, and for the huge number of creatives over there that have developed these kind of things. Hopefully I will get a better camera. I have zero idea why it is that it just refuses to the Zoom is just horrible, and it won't lock off for me either. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. I will ask for the like, share, subscribe at the very end of this. I really appreciate it. And for some hardcore, for some heavy metal riffs, here we go. a spiked mail to the face. Mace to the face, isn't it? Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Have a great one. I will see you tomorrow on I guess it's a World Building Wednesday. Yep. See ya. Peace.